Hello and welcome to Blockchain Gaming World with me, John Jordan. So in this video, I'm going to have a bit of a dive into some of the numbers around AXIE Infinity. So AXIE Infinity been around for 3 years, well over 3 years now, and is really seeing quite incredible growth, really. And it's kind of one of those things because they put out these little screenshots of their Google Analytics fairly regularly. That I know the game's growing, but it sort of passed me by a little bit the change in velocity. So I've just gone back through the last 2 months of AXIE Infinity's Twitter's kind of screenshots, and here what they're showing is the people playing the game. So I should point out this is not on-chain activity. So we for the 3 years we've been looking at AXIE on-chain activity, so people basically trading AXIEs. And even now, they got their own Ronin sidechain or layer 2 up. That's being tracked as well. So we can kind of see what's happening on chain. But this is people playing the game, which is running on a centralized server. Effectively the battling system. So people are taking three axes each side. People are battling. It's sort of like it's actually sort of card based, really. You have the NFT, which has its stats and also has various sort of card attacks, and then you on a turn-based system, you choose what cards you want to play. There's have sort of mana points, and you build strategy around the axes you have and the attacks you have, and how you kind of link all those things together. And what we can see here, obviously, we're assuming this is true, and AXIE aren't kind of making this stuff up. I have no reason to believe that they would make stuff up, but just a caveat: this is not on chain. We can see here at the moment people are playing the AXIE game. There are different ways of playing it. It's actually it's a bit cumbersome to play, actually, because it's still in sort of testing. But we can see here, this is the DAUs. So there's Windows. So this is yesterday. 38,000 people are playing it on Windows. Just over 2,000 are playing on Mac. 162,000 people are playing it on Android, clearly by far and away the biggest audience, and 6,815 on iOS. So the iOS build is through test flight. I think that's limited to, I'm not quite sure how many people it is, but that's a sort of obviously we can see that the majority of activities happening on Windows, PC, easiest open platform, and Android, where people are kind of downloading the SDK, sorry, the SDK, the APK, and we sort of know with AXIE Infinity, a lot of people are playing in places like the Philippines. It obviously has a global reach, but we know there's definitely a lot of kind of people kind of playing quite actively there, and it's this kind of play to earn mechanic where people are playing the AXIE game, they're earning the smooth love potion, which you can use to breed more AXIEs, or you can sell it off and kind of swap it out to fiat currencies, like you could do with any cryptocurrency. The small love potion is an ERC20 token running on the Ethereum blockchain, or the Ronin chain as well. So this is quite significant, really, and as I say, it sort of passed me by. So we have 162,000 people playing daily. This is DAUs. So I thought I would sort of just map this out, so we can kind of see what's going on. This is over the last kind of 2 months. So we can see here, this is right down the bottom, they don't really kind of matter very much. So we have Mac and iOS. Obviously, those people would tend to be people who are sort of playing from, I guess, kind of more kind of US, North America, maybe a bit of Europe. I guess kind of more well-off people, I suppose, to have access to an iPhone. Obviously, iPhones in the Philippines not so common, but we see Android devices. We have Windows devices here in blue, and then by far and away, the biggest proportion here is what's going on with Android. And this is at the start of May. Let's click that off. So at the start of May, we have just under 30,000 people. Remember, this is DAUs, so this isn't month. This is DAUs. 30,000 people playing AXIE Infinity on their Android phones, and we can see the dotted line here is the total. So we can see the vast majority of the activities happening on Android, although Windows is sort of growing as well. But we can kind of see here as we go through May, it's kind of we're going from 30,000. So we're hitting 50,000 at the end of May, or this is the end of May here. So we've doubled in a month. This is again the DAUs have doubled in a month. And then from sort of the end of May 60,000. Now we're up to 160,000. So we've getting on for kind of a tripling from in a month here. So this is quite considerable growth. We haven't got all the data points here, so there are some data points where it's sort of like a kind of flat lines depending on what's going on a daily basis. But we can see here the growth now for the whole of AXIE is now over 200,000 DAUs. So that is really significant. We're back here 40,000 at the start of May, 40,000 to 200,000. So it's 5x. This is not because AXIE is a great game. Not that AXIE is a terrible game, but I think even the people behind AXIE, kind of understand and are working very hard to make the sort of gameplay more kind of interesting and it kind of works. There is strategy there to play to win. I'm terrible at it. You do have to spend the time really thinking about what AXIEs you've got and how to use them. But it's not, if you couldn't compare it to a kind of a Hearthstone type game in terms of deep strategy. So the reason people are playing this is the blockchain kind of mechanic, and this is kind of we've seen this with a few projects. I guess NBA Top Shot being the main one so far. A little bit with Alien Worlds on the Wax blockchain, although there's a slightly different mechanic going on there. That's more like an idle game. So, but we start to see when people sort of understand what games that use the blockchain are about. And part of that, obviously a key part of that is the creation of financial value that can be extracted. I don't think it's the only reason. Otherwise, we'd see all blockchain games being successful. But in this case, this is clearly something that's happening from some of these people who are playing in the Philippines and who we see on Twitter are doing things like basically that's their livelihood now. They're buying land, they're buying motorbikes. Case today I saw that someone retweeted that he bought a house through playing AXIE Infinity. So I wouldn't say that's necessarily common that people in the Philippines are all buying houses through playing AXIE Infinity. I think most of them are just sort of, using it as a way of accumulating, slightly more kind of money. They may have kind of full-time jobs and they're doing this in the evening. But some people clearly are playing this as their full-time job, and some people, clearly are sort of doing well out of it. So. This is, I think, for us proponents of blockchain games, we have to, blockchain games, I think, they're going to be great blockchain games that are great experiences that you couldn't make in any other way. You couldn't make these sort of game experiences without blockchain because financial aspects are part of this, and it doesn't have to be sort of hard financial aspects. But one of the key things for blockchain games to be successful, I think, is we have to show that adding blockchain to a game does create a mass audience, and we can have arguments like kind of cultural or moral arguments about whether it's good to kind of get people to play games to make money. I'm not going to have that argument here. I think there are pros and cons on both sides, but I guess we basically just have to show that if you're adding blockchain to games, then you can see this incredible growth, and obviously this growth happens because people are prepared to spend sort of time and money playing these sorts of games rather than doing something else. And on a fundamental level, if blockchain is going to be useful for the games industry, we have to show that actually there is audience demand for it. It's not just us kind of weird blockchain people just going, oh, it's culturally it's so interesting, or sort of philosophically this is great decentralization. It's like, no, normal people who don't care about blockchain just going, yeah, I'm playing this. And we can see here for this game, AXIE Infinity, that this is over a 2-month period. This is quite staggering growth. You can actually see. This is another one. This is from AXIE Infinity as well. So this is showing for 2021. Again, this is their Google Analytics report. You can kind of see, anyone who's seen Google Analytics will kind of see this. So we have the DAUs here in the light blue. Then we have the weeklies here, and then we have the MAUs. And we can just kind of see this kind of, the start of May is really the point at which it sort of takes off. And even with, the actually DAU growth is actually pretty steady. MAU growth is sort of driven, more kind of cyclic, I suppose. So it goes sort of, kind of, you can see it goes up and down. And the monthly ones, well, we're still, because it lags by a month. So we've seen this incredible growth. So that goes all the way up. Maybe it will kind of, that sort of growth will peter out. But it's obviously driven by the DAU growth. So we now have 1.2 million MAUs. So, and actually that's starting to look, not too bad, in comparison to non-blockchain games. So we always had this whole thing about, could we compare MAUs and DAUs of blockchain games to non-blockchain games, and how we could kind of filter those or factor those. I wrote kind of a piece about it 3 years ago, sort of comparing DAUs on blockchain games to non-blockchain games, in terms of on-chain activity and why that would happen. But now we've sort of get into the case now where Alien Worlds had a million MAUs. I'm not sure how many of those were bots. Not going to have that whole debate again. But we are starting to see now products that have sort of scale, and certainly I'd say with AXIE Infinity, much harder to bot. I don't think there's bots. I've not heard of bots operating in there. Obviously, there probably could be, because people are sort of looking to extract value potentially, and bots will be part of blockchain. We have to sort of understand that. But this is the sort of growth we want to see for a new technology coming in, and people going, this is great, I can't do this any other way. Right, I'm playing AXIE Infinity, and this, as this sort of DAU line starts going up, continues, this is going to drive, we are suddenly going to be in the situation where at least one blockchain game is doing sort of the same numbers as some broadly successful non-blockchain games. And obviously the thing to point out here is mobile. So this sort of goes back to another, maybe a problem really, that Google and Apple on their app stores don't really allow seamless use of blockchain games really. You can do it, but you have to jump through hoops and you have to go through their payment methods, and obviously that doesn't really fit with what we're trying to do, or what many developers are trying to do in blockchain games. So there is this sort of kind of key obstacle around mobile, but clearly when you can get it right, so lots of people in Asia, are quite happy to download APKs. They don't necessarily go through Google Play Store all the time to get their content. They have local stores as well. In China, obviously don't have Google at all. Not that I think many people in China are playing AXIE Infinity. I haven't seen any numbers around that, even anecdotally. But it just kind of proves, once again, mobile provides this great accessibility, and if blockchain games can deliver themselves through other channels, and I guess as we sort of see more of this, we'll start to see potentially other kind of local app stores on Android, encouraging blockchain games to go through those. We'll kind of see what happens. But this is sort of good news. Obviously great for AXIE Infinity, a brilliant project that people should be looking into. But this is kind of great that we're seeing these sort of accelerated growth curves, and over a very short period of time. I thought I would also have a quick look at some other stuff around AXIE, because it kind of gives some idea of the sort of the ecosystem around it. So we have the AXIE Infinity token here. So I guess like a lot of tokens, a lot of volatility at the moment. And let's see if we can get this one going. We do have, when we see this sort of growth in the AXIE user base happening at the start of May, so it does go up to this sort of a $10 sort of price. As with a lot of crypto, it's sort of come back down now to under 4. But we are kind of this is still obviously, as it tends to be, much higher than it was at the start of the year. So in the start of January we were on 50 cents, 54 cents, and now we're on $3.24. And we can also have a look at the smooth love potion, as it now is called. I should remember, and it's not found that. Come on. And let's see. I mean, this is more volatile because this is a utility rather than the governance token. But we can again see at the start of May, it's a massive increase. So we're going there from 0.35 up to obviously like 10x, tenfold, and that's come back down to about 0.13. So it's interesting that it's not just, so the growth has continued even though the price of the token has fallen away, quite considerably. So it's not just that growth in AXIE Infinity has not just been driven by the kind of price of the tokens. And we can also look at the marketplace here. So this is the NFTs. These are some of the most expensive ones. So these Mystic Axies. They've sort of retained their price in ETH. Obviously, the ETH price in dollars has gone down a lot, but we're still actually roughly around the same. So $20,000 is kind of roughly what it was a month ago, if I remember correctly. So there's some sort of slightly cheaper stuff being people selling off assets, I suppose. And if we just look at the standard kind of Origin ones, so there's about 1,000 of the Mystics and about 4,000 of the Origin ones, and so they've again, kind of 3,000 is sort of roughly what I remember. So there's still some slightly cheaper ones if people are kind of maybe kind of liquidating to get some money out of the system at the moment. But actually, compared to the token prices, the NFTs held up their value pretty well. And obviously, the point of having a game is interesting because it may have tokens, but it also has NFTs, and sort of there's a kind of a balance there compared to maybe holding all your value in tokens, which are much more volatile. So I don't know. In any way, yeah. So good news. Axie Infinity is really getting scale, and I think you know it's not easy to do that. Axie Infinity's built that over a 3-year period, a big community, and it's been hard work to kind of keep going through some of those years. But now you can have these very fast accelerating points in time. Obviously, as we know in crypto, what can happen is things can accelerate very fast, and then obviously token prices can come back straight back down again. But it seems like kind of when people start playing a game and sort of getting into the game, and that becoming part of what they do in a daily sort of situation. Certainly, if they can extract some value from that, financial value from that, then that's going to reinforce that, and that's really good to see. We expect to see more blockchain games like this. And we should be highlighting this sort of growth because this is going to encourage just general games companies to understand a bit more about what it takes to make a great blockchain game, and the fact that people who don't really care about blockchain games are playing these games for kind of financial value, which is what blockchain games give you that you can't do it any other way with games, legally at least, but also for sort of over time they'll become more kind of entertainment and fun as well. So anyway, thanks for watching. This is Blockchain Gaming World, where we are both interested in the fun side and the financial value of blockchain games, which I think can be great for the future. So please subscribe to the channel. But thanks for watching, and see you again soon.